Hare Krishna. So this is 2.20. Okay, this is a very important verse, as we know that if you remember what we were discussing, the first thing that Krishna is telling to Arjuna is about the difference between this body and matter. I mean, soul and the spiritual being and matter. The difference between the body and the soul, and he's giving the characteristics of the soul. Further, he will give. So this topic is what is being covered in these verses. Mataji, are you available to read this verse?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. Just a second. Okay, you can go ahead.
ना जयते म्रियते वा कदाचिन नयम भूत्वा भविता वा ना भूया अजो नित्या शाश्वतो यम पुराणो ना हयन्ते हन्यामने शरीरे. Na never jayate takes birth, mriyate dies, va either kadachit at any time past, present or future. Na never I am this, bhutva having come into being, bhavita will come to be, va or na not, bhuyah or is again coming to be, aja unborn, nitya eternal, shashvata permanent, I am this, purana the oldest, na never, hanyate is killed, hanya mane being killed, sharire the body. For the soul there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will never come into being. He is unborn, external, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. Qualitatively, the small atomic fragmental part of the Supreme Spirit is one with the Supreme. He undergoes no changes like the body. Sometimes the soul is called the steady or kutastha. The body is subject to 6 kinds of transformation. It takes its birth from the womb of the mother's body, remains for some time, grows, produces some effects, gradually dwindles, and at last vanishes into oblivion. The soul, however, does not go through such changes. The soul is not born, but because he takes on a material body, the body takes its birth. The soul does. Um, the soul does. The soul does not take birth there, and the soul does not die. Anything which has birth also has death, and because the soul has no birth, he therefore has no past, present, or future. He is eternal, ever existing, and primeval. That is, there is no trace in history of his coming into being. Under the impression of the body, we seek the history of birth, etc. of the soul. The soul does not at any time becomes old as the body does. The so-called old man therefore feels himself to be in the same spirit as in his childhood or youth. The changes of the body do not affect the soul. The soul does not deteriorate like a tree, nor anything material. The soul has no byproducts either. The byproducts of the body, namely children, are also different individual souls, and owing to the body, they appear as the children of a particular man. The body develops because of the soul's presence, but the soul has neither offshoots nor change. Therefore, the soul is free from the 6 changes of the body. In the Katha Upanishad 1.2.18, we also find a similar passage which reads, Na jayate mriyate va vipashichin nayam kutashichin na baba va कश्चित अजो नित्या शाश्वतो यम पुराणो ना हन्यते हन्यमने शरीरे. The meaning and purport of this verse is the same as in the Bhagavad Gita, but here in this verse there is one special word, vipashchit, which means learned or with knowledge. The soul is full of knowledge or full always with consciousness. Therefore, consciousness is the symptom of the soul. Even if one does not find the soul within the heart where he is situated, one can still understand the presence of the soul simply by the presence of consciousness. Sometimes we do not find the sun in the sky owing to the clouds or for some other reason, but the light of the sun is always there, and we are convinced that it is therefore daytime. As soon as there is a little light in the sky early in the morning, we can understand that the sun is in the sky. Similarly, since there is some consciousness in all bodies, whether man or animal, we can understand the presence of the soul. This consciousness of the soul is, however, different from the consciousness of the Supreme, because the Supreme Consciousness is all knowledge, past, present, and future. The Mataji, the consciousness of the individual soul is prone to the forgetful. When he is forgetful of his real nature, he obtains education and enlightenment from the superior lessons of Krishna. But Krishna is not like the forgetful soul. If so, Krishna's teachings of Bhagavad Gita would be useless. There are two kinds of souls, namely the minute particle soul, Anu Atma, and the supreme soul, Vibhu Atma. This is also confirmed in the Katha Upanishad 1.2.20 in this way. Anor Anyana Mahato Mahiyan Atmasya Janator Nihato Guyam Tam Akratu Pashyati Vita Sukho Dhatu Prasadan Mahimanam Atmana. Both the super soul Paramatma and the atomic soul Jivatma are situated on the same tree of the body within the same heart of the living being. And only one who has become free from all material desires as well as lamentations can, by the grace of Supreme, understand the glories of the soul. Krishna is the fountainhead of the super soul. Also, it will be disclosed in the following chapters. And Arjuna is the atomic soul, forgetful of his real nature. Therefore, he requires to be enlightened by Krishna or by his bona fide representative, the spiritual master. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much. It was a long purport, but thank you. You can stop sharing this. Okay. This is a very important verse. न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचिन् नायं भूत्वा भवितवान् न भूय अजो नित्य शाश्वतोऽयं पुराण न हन्यमाने शरीरे. Translation: for the soul there is neither birth nor death at any time. So this was right from the beginning. 2.11 is where Krishna started speaking as a spiritual master, and 2.12 is where he had mentioned about that all these kings, you, me, everyone are, like everyone is existing eternally. Like they will never cease to exist. They existed always as individuals, and they will never cease to exist in future. So, which from the beginning itself, he mentioned about the individuality of all the souls and individual eternal existence of all the souls. So here he is mentioning that for the soul there is neither birth nor death at any time. It's eternal. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. So it's the body based on which we may say, okay, the birthday or the birth day of someone is so and so, or in the death certificate they write the dates. So this is based on the body, but the soul is there's no particular birth or death for the soul. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. So in the previous verses also we had discussed Krishna mentioning that if somebody says that somebody says that okay, he's some one is being slain or is killing someone, so one should understand it's the body which is being killed and not the actual living entity. Prabhupada is explaining here. First thing he's mentioning about the how the super soul and the individual souls, they're qualitatively the Supreme Lord and the individual beings, they're qualitatively one. Means the because the Supreme Lord is Sachidananda, and similarly living entities are also Sachidananda. They're all eternal, all knowledge and full of bliss. But quantitatively there is difference, of course. So qualitatively, the small atomic fragmental part of the Supreme Spirit is one with the Supreme. He undergoes no change like the body. So what are the changes of the body? 6 changes that the body undergoes is what? There's birth, then the body, it's for some time it keeps growing, and then produces some effects on byproducts, and then dwindles, and then it's like at the time of death the body is finished. The soul, however, does not go through such changes. The soul is not born, but because it takes on a material body, the body takes its birth. So because we have taken a particular body, so we have a XYZ birthday. But otherwise the soul or we actually do not have any birth date. The soul does not take birth there, and the soul does not die. Anything which has birth also has to, yeah, this we know. If somebody has taken birth, then one has to die one day. And because the soul has no birth, he therefore has no past, present, future. He is eternal, ever existing, primeval. There is no trace in history of his coming into being. Under the impression of the body, we seek the history of the birth. So because there is no beginning for the soul, that's why there is no past, present, future. Of course, we determine past, present, future because of our as per the material body, but as it is said in the spiritual world, there is no past, there is no concept of past, present, or future. The soul does not at all at any time become old as the body does. The so-called old man therefore feels. So this is a proof of how the spirit soul is always of the same nature. There is no concept of like a small child may be very active, and then he grows up, and then when one becomes old they are very dull or something. So this is because of the body. But sometimes we also see that a old person is also very active and very energetic, of at least psychologically he feels very energetic. Why so? Because the spirit soul is the same. The spirit soul doesn't grow old. The body may may become old, but the spirit soul is still the same. So sometimes we may see an old man also have the same energy level, or may feel like being youthful. The changes to the body do not affect the soul. The soul does not deteriorate like a tree or anything material. The soul has no byproduct either. So the body has byproducts like the children or things like that, but the soul has nothing like that. The byproducts of the body, namely children, are also different individual souls. And owing to the body, they appear as children of a particular man. So as per one's karmic reactions, somebody becomes father, mother, or child, or family members, or friends, all these things. But they are also all individual beings. The body develops because of the soul's presence, but the soul has neither offshoots nor change. Therefore, the soul is free from the 6 changes of the body. What are the 6 changes of the body? We saw that. But the soul does not undergo these changes. There is no such like birth or growth or something for the soul. Prabhupada is quoting one verse from Katha Upanishad, which is similar to this particular verse. And then the soul is full of knowledge. That's why we say, no, Satchidananda. The living entities are also Satchidananda. The soul is full of knowledge, or full always with consciousness. Earlier also we have discussed this point, that consciousness is a symptom of the soul. How do we differentiate a living person and dead body? living person, if we pinch a living, if somebody come and pinch on our hands or something, then we will feel that pain. So we can understand that okay, I'm conscious. But at the same time, if you see a dead body and you go and pinch the dead body, they will not react. I mean, the body will not will not react. Something is missing there, and what is that? That's a soul, and therefore they don't have consciousness. So consciousness is therefore the symptom of the soul. Even if one doesn't find the soul within the heart where it is situated, earlier also we have seen that the size of the soul is so minute that there is no mechanical instrument, no scientific so-called science, modern science, they do not have any instrument which can measure such a size. What is the size of the soul? We had discussed last time. It's 1 by 10,000th part of the tip of the hair. So with our blunt eyes or with any electron microscope or something, some instruments, we cannot measure. There is no such instrument which can measure such a such dimensions. Sometimes we do not find the sun in the sky owing to the clouds or for some other reason, but the light of the sun is always there, and we are convinced that it is therefore daytime. So Prabhupada gives very wonderful daily life examples to make us understand the point. So what's the point is making here, that even if one may not actually, if you try to find, if someone tries to find the soul in the, because we have seen in the previous verses that the position of the soul is it's the sitting place for the soul is a in the region of our heart, where the heart is there, and that's how the heart gets the source of energy for the heart is the soul. But one cannot physically try to, if one does open heart surgery or something, one cannot see the soul. So but Prabhupada is making the point that even in the material world, in the day-to-day life, early morning, for example, the sun is actually not visible, maybe because of being cloud. For example, here it's cloudy right now, so the sun is not visible as generally it is, but there is light, sunlight is there, so from that we can understand that it is still daytime. In the same way, a person is living, there is consciousness. From that we can understand that the soul is present, because if the soul weren't present, then the body will be like a dead body. As soon as there's little light in the sky, early in the morning, we can understand the sun is in the sky. Similarly, since there is some consciousness in all bodies, whether man or animal, we can understand the presence of the soul. So from this also we can get one point, that some section of people claim that the animals, they have no soul, you can kill them and eat them, but that is not so, because they are also conscious beings, they also go through the different changes of the body, they also have byproducts and so on. So because from that consciousness we can understand that they have a soul, or they are the soul, and they have got a material body. Okay, this consciousness of the soul is different from the consciousness of supreme. Now there is a difference between that supreme consciousness and individual soul's consciousness, because the supreme consciousness is all knowledge, past, present and future. The consciousness of the individual soul is prone to be forgetful, so that's natural. We know, we can experiment it right now, that we may not remember exactly 1 hour from now what exactly we were doing, or previous day to yesterday what were we doing at a particular time, exact that particular hour, that particular minute, what we were doing, we may not be able to remember as it is. So our consciousness, or our we are prone to forget things, but the Supreme Lord, um, he is aware of past, present, future and everything. When he is forgetful of his real nature. He obtains education and enlightenment from the superior lessons of Krishna. But Krishna is not like the forgetful soul. If so, Krishna's teachings of Bhagavad Gita would be useless. So Krishna is different from us in the sense he is the supreme Lord, and he early in another verse also, I mean repeatedly we see this point Prabhupada mentioning difference between the soul and the super soul. Super soul is conscious of all bodies, he knows about everyone and everything. But the individual soul, that for example I may have pain in my leg, so I'm conscious of that pain. You will not know the pain that I may be going through, or I may not know the pain that pain or pleasure that you may be going through. So our consciousness is limited to our body, whereas supreme consciousness, he knows about all bodies, all living entities. He's supremely conscious about, he knows everything. So another difference here, it's as it is mentioned, the individual soul is prone to be forgetful. uh, Even, you know, we may not remember 1 hour before or a few minutes before what exactly we were doing and so on, whereas the supreme soul, Krishna, he doesn't, there's a forgetfulness for him. Then there are two kinds of souls, namely the minute particle soul, that is Anu Atma, that is we living entities, and the super soul Vibhu Atma. And both the super soul and the atomic soul, Paramatma and Jivatma, are situated on the same tree of the body within the same heart of the living entity, and only one who has become free from all material desires as well as lamentations can, by the grace of the Supreme, understand the glories of the soul. So the soul, now Krishna is so merciful. We are like children who wants to be independent and have therefore ran away from home. We have actually run away from our home, spiritual world, and trying to be independent. But loving father, what he does, even if the child runs away from home, he's always worried, and he always keeps trying to find where is my child, what is he doing, and so on. So Krishna is a supreme father, so we have come away from him, but he doesn't leave us alone. He comes along as Paramatma. So the along with the along I mean in a living entity or in a body, not only the soul but the super soul is also present. So soul and super soul are present side by side. So this thing is given from the Katha Upanishad, I think, yeah, that the Paramatma and Jivatma are situated. They are like okay. Elsewhere it is mentioned that they are like two birds on the same tree. One bird is eating the fruits, busy in eating the fruits of the tree, and the other bird is just witnessing. That witnessing bird is the super soul, and the bird who is trying to eat the fruits of the tree is the living entity. So we are busy in our enjoying and suffering the results of our karmic reactions, and keep engaging in more karmic reactions, and we are not bothered about the other bird. But the other bird, that's a super soul, is waiting, when will this particular living entity turn towards me, so that I will give him all facilities to go back to Godhead. Of course now also he is giving, but we have to take that initial step to turn towards him. So Krishna is the fountainhead of the super soul also, as it will be disclosed in the following chapters. And Arjuna is the atomic soul, forgetful of his real nature. So Arjuna is representing, he is the conditioned souls actually. Therefore, he requires to be enlightened by Krishna or by bona fide spiritual master. So here, Arjuna is a pure devotee. So Krishna directly was present. They were present on the chariot, and Krishna directly was giving him the instructions. For us, Krishna comes in the form of his representatives. He manifests in the form of spiritual master. So the bona fide spiritual master, he we have to get enlightened from him, about these topics that Krishna is mentioning to Arjuna. Okay, I'll not go further. It was a little longer purport. So I'll stop here for any discussions, any points you would like to add, or anything related to this topic.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Mataji, I had a question. So, like this material body, then how should we perceive this material body? I mean, should we take care of it or how should we handle it? Because it's ultimately the soul which is important. This body keeps changing. But every time when we get a material body, how should we perceive it?
Okay, it's just like if I want to go, let's say, to a market or somewhere. Okay, I want to go from Delhi to Mumbai, or Delhi to maybe some place, wherever. So I may I have a car, so I may drive the car to go to my destination. So I need to make sure that the car is in proper order so that I can reach my destination. The car, there's petrol, sufficient petrol. Okay, there's nice example. Okay, from here to Vrindavan, for example. So I need to make sure that there's enough petrol in the car, and the car tires have sufficient air. It's not punctured or something. So it is nicely, the car is in good shape so that I can reach my destination. So at least that much care I need to take. I may not try to give it a get new seat cover and no extra unnecessary things I need not do. But minimum requirements of petrol and air in the tires and all these things I need to take care. So for us, why we have got this material body, I mean, of course we have been getting so many material bodies, but in this lifetime we have got this human body, and human body is meant for the purpose of self-realization. So the driver, so the soul is like the driver and the body is like the car. So if I neglect the body completely, giving no food and water or something like that, then I cannot reach my destination. I will not be able to practice bhakti in this lifetime. Because I mean, the car has to be in good shape to reach the destination. Similarly, the body has to be maintained minimum whatever is needed to reach destination of a human life. At the same time, I need not do like unnecessarily spend my time getting a kind of makeup or doing unnecessary stuff for the body. So minimum thing has to be done, and rest of the time one has to give to now the driver is ill, so I have nice car. Okay, I'm ready for everything is ready. I've kept the car very nicely ready to move on to my destination, but I'm ill, so I cannot drive the car. So what's the use of that car in that case? Similarly, we have to also, primary thing is the soul, and next comes maintaining the body. So that's why it's said that we have to prioritize our things like chanting, hearing, our personal sadhana has to be top list priority. And then okay, one can do other things, rest of the things for the body, whatever is needed, job or studies or whatever. So yeah, we can take it in that way. Let me know if that was appropriate for your question, if I understood your question properly.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you so much for such beautiful explanation. It's clear now. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for your question, Mataji. Okay, anything else?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
I want to know, Mataji, that in one birth, uh, we grasp out the knowledge of Upanishad and Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam and become a saint. And if we die, all the knowledge of all this Vedic literature will go with us in another birth also, and or if we will forget everything that, or we will remember little of bit of knowledge in our another birth. And here one line is mentioned that soul is full of knowledge and consciousness. Kindly explain me this line. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so the thing is, knowledge is needed to put. I mean, if I have knowledge, just like in this, specifically in India, people know that okay, I'm not this body, I am Atma, I'm the soul, but nobody acts upon it. So, such knowledge is useless. Whereas now, when by mercy of our spiritual master and Srila Prabhupada, when we are able to put that knowledge into practice, then that becomes realization. So whatever, and that will tell us what percentage of Krishna conscious we are actually. So whatever percentage of Krishna consciousness we could develop in this particular lifetime, that will continue from the next life. I mean, that will stay, that's eternal. Now I may have millions of bank balance, but in my next life, I mean, at death it will be all zero. But whatever life I will get, I will have whatever percentage of bhakti, let's say 2%. So that 2% will still be there with us. So it will be there, that spiritual account will be there with us. So whenever one will take up bhakti again, they will start from 2%. They need not start from 0% then. So knowledge, so that realization, I mean, somebody is illiterate. There is one example of some Brahmin in Sri Rangam. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went there, he heard from people, okay, there is an illiterate Brahmin, but he is reading Bhagavad Gita every day. So he went to him and asked, oh, how is that you are reading Bhagavad Gita? I heard you are illiterate. The Brahmin said that he's a Vaishnava. So he said that what can I do? Yes, I am illiterate, but my spiritual master has asked me to read Bhagavad Gita every day. So, but I do not know how to read. So I'm just turning the pages. So he was illiterate. He couldn't know what was there in the Bhagavad Gita, what Krishna is saying to Arjuna and everything. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that, but I noticed that you are not only turning the pages, but you are also crying. So then he said, yes, when I see the Bhagavad Gita, I remember how Krishna has become the chariot driver of Arjuna, charioteer of Arjuna. So the Lord is so kind that he has become charioteer or chariot. He's driving the chariot of his devotee. He's the supreme Lord. He's driving the chariot of his devotee. So he's so kind to his devotee. So that's why he was crying actually. So then the Lord Chaitanya embraced him that you are the real student of Bhagavad Gita. So we may study Bhagavad Gita and we may become very expert in the word and remember so many shlokas and all. But if we are not coming to the point of that Brahmana or that devotee, then we have not understood Bhagavad Gita actually. Even if I may just 700 shlokas, I may just chant 700 shlokas without seeing, but if I'm not realized, then it's of no use. Such knowledge is of no use. So what matters is how much we are able to apply that knowledge. So that much Krishna conscious we can actually become, or that much percentage of Krishna consciousness we can actually develop. And the next thing was about you asked about What was the next thing? Okay, first of all, let me know if this is clear.
Yes, Mataji, I understood. And the next question is how can we say that soul is full of knowledge and consciousness?
Yeah. So, yes, that is that comes from Sachidananda. Sat means eternal, Chit means full of knowledge, and Ananda means full of bliss. So, Krishna is Sachidananda, and when a pure devotee, I mean the soul is actually a pure devotee. So now we are misidentifying with the body. So our situation is Achit means temporary, sat, sorry, asat temporary, asat and ignorant, and then full of misery. uh, but actually our constitutional position as part and parcel of Krishna, so in then our quality is eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. Mm. So knowledge means, of course, we understand the gopis. For example, I just want to make it clear what does knowledge actually mean. The gopis, they were not very learned in the Vedic scriptures like the Brahmanas. There is example of let's talk about this. There's one pastime in Krishna book that when Krishna and Balram, they with their cowherd friends were in jungle, grazing their calves and all, are playing. The friend said that, okay, Krishna, we are feeling very hungry, please arrange something to eat. Then he said that, okay, there are some brahmanas doing some sacrifices nearby, you go them and you ask them to give food. So they went, they asked the brahmanas, but the brahmanas, oh, we haven't offered anything at sacrifice right now. So they drove them away. Then Krishna said, oh, now you go to the wives of the brahmanas. Okay, no problem, you go to the wives of the brahmanas. So the friends, the cowherd boys, they went to the wives of the brahmanas and told like this, that Krishna and Balrama are here and they want something to eat. The brahmanas were like, oh, Krishna is here, Krishna is here, oh, we will give everything. So they packed everything nicely, whatever was prepared for the sacrifice, they packed it nicely, and okay, we will also go along with you. So taking all that bhoga, they were wanting to go to Krishna and Balram. Now the brahmanas were like, oh, where you all are going? Their all family members started opposing, and where you are going, taking all this. So they didn't they didn't worry about all them, and they just went. So here the Brahmana Patnis, they were not the Brahmanas, they were very expert in chanting the mantras. So from external point of view, they were very knowledgeable, huh? But the Brahmana Patnis were actually devotees, and the Brahmanas were actually smarta Brahmanas. One is very expert in chanting Vedic mantras and all. So that is not real knowledge. Real knowledge is how much actually one understands that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I am his part and parcel, therefore I am meant to serve Krishna, I am meant to please Krishna. That is real knowledge. So a spirit soul, a spirit soul is actually uh, fully realized about it, because okay, in our present impure state we are thinking, I'm this body, so we are struggling. But the one who is free from all this material conditioning, the pure spirit soul knows that yes, I'm meant to serve Krishna, and that is real knowledge, and therefore it said as full of knowledge. And when there is that understanding or that realization or that concept, then automatically one will be fully blissful, because Krishna is Anandamaya. So if we connect with him properly, perfectly, then we will also be in the same blissful state. Did that help, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, thank you so much for such beautiful explanation. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much for your nice question, and thank you actually to Gurudev, Guru Mata for their wonderful sessions. uh, and of course Prabhupada.
Mataji, give my daughter blessings. She is going to start her school life, the initial school life. So give her blessings that she will do all good in her schooling. Hare Krishna.
Very nice. She's having devoted, such devoted parents. So she's already blessed. Mm. So seeing you, she will also get inspired to take up the path of bhakti. Mm.
And Mataji, by seeing the video of her playing Kartal in the temple, many parents of age of her daughters, they were very inspired and they were so happy that they also want to teach their babies, child about kirtan and bhakti. And they are so inspired. We have posted it on Facebook, and they have realize that there is something like this also, that we can give lessons of bhakti and Krishna consciousness to a child at this age also. So all blessings to Guru Mataji and Srila Prabhu Gurudev ji and you. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, that is very nice. Actually, this is what the foundation has to be. In a Vedic culture, this was the foundation, bhakti. Hmm. Material education was actually secondary, because because I have gone through in my youthful age and all. People they may be in IITs, or they may be highly educated and very intelligent, but people they do not know what to do in a particular situation. They get into different addictions and wrong activities, and they spoil their life. They may have lots of money or lots of nice job and all, but they I mean that the foundation of bhakti is not there. So it becomes like a waste, empty, at one point of time. But at the same time, one is a devotee. He knows what is the purpose of my life. Even if such a person is in a very humble state or in a very rich state, I mean both are he sees both in a very, what do you say, equipoised way. He remains equipoised in both cases. So it's very important to inculcate these principles of bhakti right from the childhood. So that's very nice that you are doing it. You are doing your part for your child.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. So we'll close for today. Tomorrow is Friday, and I'm sorry I will not be available tomorrow. So maybe we'll meet. I'll post in the group next when we are going to have the discussions. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Mataji's Dandvat Pranam. Thank you so much for your association. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.